Alrighty, so now we're going to start with a real proof. I'm going to show you what we have as a tool for you to use as you're doing this. So for the first 6 questions, you have this that says segment proofs guide. I don't know why you have to. You don't need to. You just need the first ones. So this says use the reasons below to complete proofs 1 through 6. Cross them off as you use them for each proof. So I'm going to do something just a little bit different here and use my eGlass. I need to save this first. Should have done that before I started the video. Okay, save. Yes. Okay. So right over here, I'm going to drag it up. Okay. So this is the one for the first one is up on my screen that you can see. And we're going to kind of use that in conjunction with doing this actual proof. And so what we need to do is we need to think about what makes the most sense for each of these and really be thoughtful. But to start with, when you have a geometric proof, you're almost always going to have your given and you're going to have a picture. And your picture is going to be super, super helpful. So don't forget to just take a minute and look at my picture. Okay, so here are some things that I know. I know that E is the midpoint of DF. I have DF here. If E is a midpoint, I already know that these are congruent, right? So I can just sort of know in my head, probably going to use that knowledge. And then I'm going to think about what am I proving? I'm proving that 2DE equals DF. All right, so this one's a pretty tricky one, but we've got our whole bank of reasons here. And so let's get started. So this first one, it says E is the midpoint of DF. So let's take a look up here at my reasons. I have addition property, I have given, I have transitive property, I have definition of a midpoint, and I have segment addition postulate and simplify. Well, my first one's easy enough because the first one is pretty much always given. So let's just double check down here. E is the midpoint of DF. Yes, that is indeed what was given to us. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that off. And I'm going to go ahead and write right in here, given. Easy peasy. Okay. Now, DE equals DF. Well, how do I know that? It looks like I already wrote that up here. Why did I know that? Why did I know that? I knew it because they told me there was a midpoint. And look at this. Definition of a midpoint is one of my choices up here. So definition of a midpoint is the next one I'm going to use. So definition of midpoint. All righty, next we have DE plus DE equals DE plus EF. Okay, what are they doing here? So we really have to stop and think, what changes between this line and this line, right? So I have DE to DE, that matches. And I have this EF to EF, that matches. But both of these have this extra DE here. That means that that was addition property. They just added that to each side. I forgot to check and see if that was in my reasons group. I sure hope it was. Yes, it is. Addition property. I know, and I have to keep like looking up because of the way my computer monitors are. Don't judge me. Okay, next one. 2DE equals DE plus EF. So what is different between this line and this line is that these seem to be combined, right? This is all the same. This is the same. This is fine. Check. No change. But this is changed. So let's remember what my choices were. Okay, that's definitely not transitive property. And it's definitely not segment addition postulate, but it is simplify. Remember we talked about simplify. You can use either simplify or combine like terms. But that's what they did here. They simplified it or combined like terms. I'm going to go ahead and cross that one off my list now too. And then next line, we have DE plus EF equals DF. So let's look back at our choices we still have transitive property. We still have segment addition postulate. It could be transitive. I haven't seen where that is yet, but I'm going to just take a minute and see, is this the segment addition postulate? Is this what this picture is representing? DE plus EF equals DF? Yeah, that's what that is. So that's what we're going to write. We're going to write segment addition postulate. And I bet that the last one is transitive, but we're going to talk through why it's transitive. We're not just going to write it at the bottom. Make sure you know why you're doing things. Okay. So we have 2DE equals DE plus EF. And we have DE plus EF equals DF. So it is the transitive property because look, these are exactly the same. So those are the middlemen, and we can say 2DE equals DF. So that is indeed the transitive property. And we have completed our very first geometric proof. Okay, so I'm going to do one more of these with you, and I'm going to let you do the others. Am I? Yes, I am. Okay, so I'm going to close that. I am going to get our word bank again for us. And I should have done that sooner, but you're just going to maybe fast forward a minute until I'm actually doing it. Sorry. I believe in you. You can do it. Be patient with me for 30 more seconds. Okay, desktop. Find my screenshot. Here it is. Okay, so this is what we have for question number 2. And so we have a picture given that KL is congruent to LN. LM is congruent to LN. Well, that's just a bunch of letters. I don't know what that means. So now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to look at my picture. So I have KL, LM, and LN. So let's read these again and mark it. So KL is congruent to LN. KL is congruent to LN. Perfect. And I'm going to actually change colors here because they've given us something else and I don't want to get confused, but it says that LM is congruent to LN. So these are congruent to each other and these are congruent to each other. And we're trying to prove that L is the midpoint. Okay, so we've got a lot of information here. And we just wanted to kind of think about it for a minute. It's always good to draw on your diagrams. So first one's easy, that is given. Let me get my pen tool and I'm going to mark it out. And I'm going to write given on the first line. I've switched to green. I hope that doesn't bother you. All right, and now we have KL equals LN and LM equals LN. So what's the difference between these two lines is that we changed from a congruent sign to an equal sign. Let me show you back in your notes where that happens. Where does it change from congruent sign to equal sign? Is this definition of congruence, which happens to be one of our choices up here. Okay, so that's what we're going to use. Definition of congruence is going to go right here. I want to still be able to see that picture. Okay, definition DEF of congruence. You do not have to write all the words. Notice how I used some symbols there, and that's okay. All right, we have KL equals LM. Okay, so what did we do from this line to this line? I would say we probably did, of our choices, it's not definition of a midpoint. We're not there yet. But it probably is transitive property. Let's take a look at this and make sure. So we have KL equals LN, LM equals LN. You know what? They wrote that backwards from how we're used to looking at it. We usually have something like KL equals LN, LN equals LM, and we get rid of the middleman. But this works too. So KL equals LM, still the same concept, and we're going to say that this is the transitive property. And we're going to go ahead and mark that off of our list. So this last one must be definition of midpoint. Def of midpoint, but let's talk about why. So now we have KL equals LM. That's this one and this one. So yeah, if KL equals LM, that means L is in the exact center, and that is the definition of a midpoint. Okay, so for question 3, 4, 5, and 6, you must do those, and those are the ones that have your word bank for you. If you are pretty successful with those, even if you struggle a little, these take a lot of brain power. Okay, once you're ready for those and you've talked through it, I want you to try 7. 7 is a little bit different because you're going to fill in a few statements and you're going to fill in a few reasons. Okay, and you don't have a word bank for those, but if you want some help, let me know and I can give you a little word bank. Okay, so you're going to try those where you're doing some statements, some reasons. If you get all the way through those, then we have actual blank proofs, which can be pretty intimidating, but I think they're pretty fun to puzzle together. And so you may do those optionally. When you see me again, we will talk about angle proofs. Nice work, everybody.